Good morning, dear children. Come back to online classes. Today in history, we are going to learn the remaining chapter of the history. We are going to learn the first topic, company rule expands. If we analyze the process of annexation of Indian states by the East India Company from 1757 to 1857, certain key aspects emerge. Here, process of annexation means take possession of, to join, to add. The company rarely launched a direct military attack on an unknown territory. Instead, it used a variety of political, economic, and diplomatic methods to extend its influence before annexing an Indian kingdom. So, East India Company used a variety of political, economic, and diplomatic methods to extend its influence before annexing any of the Indian kingdom. After the Battle of Buxar 1764, the company appointed residents in Indian states. They were political or commercial agents, and their job was to serve and further the interest of the company. Through the residents, the company officials began interfering in the internal affairs of the Indian states. They tried to decide who was to be the successor to the throne and who was to be appointed in administrative posts. Sometimes the company forced the states into a subsidiary alliance. So, according to the term of this alliance, Indian rulers were not allowed to have their independent armed forces. They were to be protected by the company but had to pay for the subsidiary forces that the company was supposed to maintain for the purpose of this protection. So, according to subsidiary alliance, Indian rulers were not allowed to have any independent armed forces. So, instead, they were protected by the company itself. So, for that, they have to pay for the subsidiary forces for the purpose of this protection. If the Indian rulers failed to make the payment, then part of their territory was taken away as penalty. For example, when Richard Wellesley was Governor General during 1798 to 1805, the Nawab of Awadh was forced to give over half of his territory to the company in 1801 as he failed to pay for the subsidiary forces. Hyderabad was also forced to cede territory on similar ground. Now let us see the topic Tipu Sultan, the Tiger of Mysore. The company resorted to direct military confrontation when it saw a threat to its political or economic interests. This can be illustrated with the case of the southern Indian state of Mysore. Let us see the case of southern Indian state of Mysore. Mysore had grown in strength under the leadership of powerful rulers like Hyder Ali, ruled from 1761 to 1782, and his famous son Tipu Sultan, ruled from 1782 to 1799. Mysore controlled the profitable trade of the Malabar coast, where the company purchased pepper and cardamom. In 1785, Tipu Sultan stopped the export of sandalwood, pepper, and cardamom through the ports of his kingdom, and this allowed local merchants from trading with the company. He also established a close relationship with the French in India and modernized his army with their help. So, Tipu Sultan powerful ruler. Stopped the export of sandalwood, pepper, and cardamom through the ports of his kingdom. And he also disallowed the local merchants to trade with the company. And he made a close relation with French to modernize his army with their help. The British was furious. They saw Hyder and Tipu as ambitious, arrogant, and dangerous rulers who had to be controlled and crushed. So the British was very furious. They saw that Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan was very dangerous, so they want to control and crush them. Four wars were fought with Mysore: 1767 to 69, 1780 to 84, 1790 to 92, and 1799. Only in the last, the Battle of Srirangapatnam, did the company ultimately win a victory. Tipu Sultan was killed defending his capital Srirangapatnam. Mysore was placed under the former ruling dynasty of the Wadiyars, and a subsidiary alliance was imposed on the state. Is war with the Marathas. From the late 18th century, the company also sought to curb and eventually destroy Maratha power. Here, curb means a check on something. With their defeat in the Third Battle of Panipat in 1761, the Marathas' dream of ruling from Delhi was shattered. Shattered means very upset. They were divided into many states under different chiefs, Sardars, belonging to dynasties such as Scindia, Holkar, Gaikwad, and Bhosle. These chiefs were held together in a confederacy under a Peshwa, who became its effective military and administrative head based in Pune. Mahaji Scindia and Nana Fadnis were two famous Maratha soldiers and statesmen of the late 18th century. So, they, they were divided into many states under different chiefs, and these chiefs were held together in confederacy. Confederacy means alliance, that is forming an association. So these chiefs were together form association under a Peshwa, who became its effective military and administrative head based in Pune. The Marathas were subdued in a series of wars. In the first war, that ended in 1782 with the Treaty of Salbai. Treaty here means agreement made and signed between persons. Then Treaty of Salbai. There was no clear victor. The Second Anglo-Maratha War, 1803 to 1805, was fought on different fronts, resulting in the British gaining Orissa and the territories north of the Yamuna river, including Agra and Delhi. Finally, the Third Anglo-Maratha War of 1817 to 1819 crushed Maratha power. The Peshwa was removed and sent away to Bitur near Kanpur with a pension. The company now had complete control over the territories south of the Vindhyas. So children, here in the second paragraph it is explained that by the Treaty of Salbai there was no clear victory, and the Second Anglo-Maratha War, it was found on different fronts, that resulted in the British gaining Orissa and the territories north of Yamuna river, Agra and Delhi. Then Third Anglo War crushed Maratha power, and the Peshwa was, after that the Peshwa was removed and sent away to Bitur near Kanpur with a pension. Now the company is having a complete control over the territories